Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and today I've got a convention report for you. I was so busy at the convention because I had a table at the show that I didn't have a chance to actually go around and film in there. So, unfortunately, I don't have any footage from inside the convention. But it was Plastic City Comic Con 2024 in Leominster, Massachusetts, back in Leominster. Originated in Leominster. The last few years it's been in the neighboring town of Fitchburg. Now it's back in Leominster. And a great venue right off of Route 2 for those of you who are familiar with the area. So easy to get to. I think the best venue the show's ever had. And I had a really good time at the show. So I want to tell you about it, but I also got a bunch of stuff to show off. I've got comics from other independent comic creators like myself, but also I got some back issues and I got some rare variants, including some con exclusives. So even though Plastic City, you know, it's a relatively small con, I would say it's like a mid-size. They had a well-known artist I'll talk about later who did a convention exclusive cover that I had to get, and I think you'll be excited to see that. But just a quick rundown of the convention. Again, I had a table at the show. As you all know from watching my previous videos, I write, self-publish, and sometimes draw my own line of comics. And so last year at Plastic City, unfortunately, I got sick right at the beginning of the show, and I had to go to the emergency room, and it all turned out fine, except I missed the entire show. So we got everything set up at the show, and then like an hour into it, I had to go. So luckily, everything was fine this time, and it did really well, sold a lot of comics, particularly the D&D homage version of my Fantasy Comic Quest, which includes a playable module, so after you read the comic, you can play through the adventure from the comic. That's my best seller at all the conventions I've done since I put that out, and yesterday was no exception. I also got to see some of you, so thanks for coming out. I had 2 or 3 people that I know from online stop by, some familiar faces, a couple people that I've seen at previous conventions. So it's always exciting to see all of you. So thanks so much to everyone who came out, supported not just me, but everyone at Plastic City. I really appreciate it very much. So it was a really good time. Anytime you make table at a convention, it's exciting. In particular, this show is only about 25 minutes from my house, which means I don't have to get a hotel room. So it's one of the rare instances because of that where I actually made a little bit of money. Not much, but a little bit of profit. And anytime in the indie comics game where you can make any kind of profit on anything, it's a good day. So really great all around. It was always so great to meet the other indie creators. A lot of them at this point I know. There's a couple new people, new to me, that I haven't seen at the shows before, but a lot of familiar faces. So let me show you what I got from the other indie creators before I get into the back issues and stuff. Chris Tamulovich, I've mentioned a number of times on the show. He does Hero Shack comics based out of Athol, and his flagship series is The Great Cyclopean. So imagine if Superman was a Cyclops, and you basically get the idea because The Great Cyclopean is a superhero series. Here's issue 4. I already have the first 3 issues from previous shows that we've done together. And he also had, before this series, like a precursor series that featured the Great Cyclopean. So I have those as well. And here's the Great Cyclopean number 5. Now there's 7 issues out so far. They fund the Great Cyclopean. He does some other comics as well. They typically don't use Kickstarter, but rather they use a website called Fund My Comic. So if you're interested in getting the Great Cyclopean, keep an eye out on Fund My Comic. Or you can come to the Athol convention. He and his wife organize, or I should say, I think his wife actually does the organization. But they put on a show in conjunction with the Athol Library at the Athol Town Hall. It's in October. I forget the exact date, but you can look it up online in Athol, Mass. in October. This, I think, is the 3rd. It might be the 4th. This might be the 4th year they've been doing the Athol show. Let me see, 21, 22, 23, 24. Could be. It's either 3rd or 4th year. Anyway, I've been there every year. I'm really excited to go back. because it's a great show. It's a small town show, but really great. There are a couple back issue dealers, a lot of indie creators like myself. So I promised I'm going to be picking up issues 6 and 7 of the Great Cyclopean when I'm at the Athol show. So come down and say hi to us there. Another creator I've mentioned before, because he's local here, lives out near Worcester, and does a lot of shows in Massachusetts, also Rhode Island, New Hampshire. It is Brett Herholtz. And here is the cask of Amontillado. I'm embarrassed because I am, of course, an English major and a writer. But anyway, it's from a story by Edgar Allan Poe. He has a very Edward Gorey look to his artwork, which is great. He does a lot of great artwork. So, and this was only $5 for a nice thick adaptation. He's got a lot of comics that he does, all with this great sort of gory influenced gothic cartoony style. So always happy to see Brett. We've tabled together at shows before. The first time I did a show, he had the table right next to me. So it's always good to be able to see him and his cool work and support him. So that was great. Another familiar face that I saw that I've mentioned here before, who's actually been on my channel before, is George O'Connor. And he's the creator of a few different things. I think he does the one called Toddler Apocalypse. That one I don't have. But you may remember that he appeared on one of my live streams because his Kickstarter campaign for his series Charlie's Spot was ending on the same day as one of my comics. So he came on and for the live stream finale. So I've got a bunch of stuff from George, but this is brand new. Another book apparently did on Kickstarter, but I somehow missed it because I was in my own creative haze. It's Vampires on Mars. Now, George said that issue 2 is going to be live in September, so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, I should theoretically, or I may still have the Kickstarter for my Fantasy Comic Quest number 4 maybe live at the same time. So hopefully we'll do some cross promotion. You may see George again on my channel. But I'm looking forward to digging into this, the first issue of Vampires on Mars. I don't know. I was about to say I don't know what it's about, but I think it's pretty self-evident. It's vampires. They're on Mars. So I like it when a title tells you everything you need to know. I also got from George a little ash can from a comic he's just starting called Universal Champion. He said he's going to be in San Diego Comic-Con, which I think by the time this airs will have just ended. But he's going to be in San Diego Comic-Con bringing this around to publishers to see if he can get a publishing deal for it. Otherwise, this will also be coming to people on Kickstarter, and so I'm looking forward to digging into that. Now, a creator that I hadn't met before, this is by, let's see, Christine Humiston and Aaron Humiston, or Humiston, I'm not really sure. But the art looks really good. It's called Band. Now, this is from 2011, but it's issue 1. I wanted to start with issue 1. They actually had 8 issues out, plus a trade. So it seems like something they've been working on for a long time. Again, I've been doing a lot of local shows for several years now, and I hadn't seen them before. So that's actually exciting for me to get some of the local indie created books that I don't already have, because since I go to so many shows, I've picked up a lot of stuff, right? So that's exciting, and I don't really know what it's about, except it's about a band. So again, just like with Vampires on Mars, you know exactly what the comic is about, so that's great. Here's a cool one that I got. I think it's more for kids, but it's called, which is great, because I like that sort of thing, Lessons in Magic for Beginners. And it says on the back, Nell has taught many young witches and warlocks in the ways of weaving wizardry, but she might be a little over her head with Misa. Never before has she had a student with such potential, such untapped magical energy. Never before has she had an apprentice so eager to learn, yet so unable to follow the simplest of instructions. So this has got a cool cartoony style, and there's no dialogue. The whole thing is completely silent. They also did an interesting thing where the backgrounds all have this texture added to it, so it almost looks like a video game, right? It's just the background. The characters don't have it. The backgrounds have it. So that's an interesting choice. Even it's on the cover as well. So I'm always curious about these sort of creative choices, particularly by other indie creators. You do see a lot of sort of innovation, a lot of things you maybe don't see in mainstream comics. And so people trying interesting things is always cool. So again, I was really excited to get this. Written by Jared Forbes, art by Christina Savino. So they had a bunch of other stuff as well. Again, I haven't seen them at a show. One thing that I think a lot of you will really dig, and this is the last of the indie books that I got, but again, someone that I haven't seen around before at the shows that I've been to, and was unfortunately not at his table when I was there, but I talked to his wife a little bit. It's Fabrizio Aiello, and it's a series called not Herbert Hoover, Horace H. Hoover. And that's this guy here. And it says, New York City's greatest space-time occult detective vacuum. An occult pulp tale of mystery and adventure. So it's an occult mystery detective who also is a vacuum cleaner. So I love the design of it. I love the pulp aspect of it. Like, it's got the classic pulp look, which I love. I love the designs of the stuff from the 30s and 40s. Some of my favorite like magazine comic book cover designs from that period. That's what I really gravitate towards. And so I like that. I really like the art style as well. It does have a real like sort of pulp feel. He's got like pinups. The pinups you see are very pulpy. They're fighting a menace called the Slop. So this is one I'm really looking forward to reading, because it looks like it's right up my alley. And obviously, since the main character is a vacuum cleaner, or a person with a vacuum cleaner head, I'm not sure. There's obviously some humor involved as well. So that was really exciting. Now, in terms of back issues, I only got a couple. I didn't have a lot of time because I was manning my booth, but I did make a sweep around. I asked everyone if they had the old Archies. No. I asked everyone if they had the romance books. Also no. But I did go through one person. There's one dealer who had a whole bunch of boxes of stuff that were $5 each, and it was all like Silver Age stuff. And I got a couple things, low grade, but I got this. It's Jungle Adventures featuring Zangar, number 3. Now it's Skywalled. It is beat up. It's got a tear here, the spine split up here, which is pretty common on these because they're square bound. But for me, if I see a $5 Skywalled that I don't already have, I'm pretty much going to buy it. I'm still missing quite a few Skywalls, but I'm getting to the point with this that I am with a couple other things, like the Atlas and the Spire, where I need to make a checklist so that I don't start buying duplicates. But again, a $5 Skywalled, I'm picking that up. The only other back issue I got here was basically at random, almost completely at random, because what the guy had was nearly a complete run of The Fly. Now I say nearly because one thing that really hinders me here, two things. I don't know anything about The Fly, and number B, there's no numbers on the cover. So what little I do know about The Fly is not enough to figure out what the heck I'm looking at. Because for instance, the one that I was really looking for was The Fly number 4, which has the Neil Adams first art in it. And none of them have numbers on it until you get up to like issue 20 or something. So I didn't know. Didn't remember what the cover looked like. I was just scrambling. This cover sort of rang some bells. I knew it was an earlier issue of Fly, so I got this one. Again, it was just $5. After I got home, I went and I looked at like the cover galleries and everything, and realized they did not have the first 5 issues. But it looked to me, from looking at the covers and what I remember from the guy's boxes of stuff, he had just about the whole run from issue 6 up. It was just all scattered. It wasn't like all in one clump. It was just all through the boxes you'd find flies here and there, including the later issues where they changed the name to Flyman with a different logo. The one that I wish I'd gotten, because again, I couldn't remember what the cover was, no issue numbers, but it was issue 13, the first appearance of Fly Girl. He did have it, because after I got home and I looked it up, I was like, oh man, I had that in my hand. Fly is a series that I think is really undervalued because it does have some big artists. Simon and Kirby worked on the first few issues. It's got the Neil Adams stuff. But it was really a long-running series. You know, it predates Marvel. So we're looking at like 1959, The Fly starts, and it runs up through like 66. Went like over 40 issues. And yeah, you can get them for basically nothing. Like nothing. So the other thing I was looking for when I was looking through the Flies was for price variance. I did at one point have a 15-cent price variant from an issue of Fly from whatever year that was. But they did a few 15-cent price variants, and I did have one of those, but I sent it to Metarog because that's where the variants should be. But I was looking, I didn't see any of them. So those are the only back issues I got. But now let me tell you about the convention exclusives. The big guest at the show. And again, it's you know, Leominster's got 40,000 people, and the neighboring city of Fitchburg is about the same size, just slightly smaller. It's like 35. So between the two, we're looking at 75, 80,000 people, right? So it's not huge. And for considering the size of the area, this is actually a pretty large convention at this point. It started off much smaller, but it's gotten pretty big. There's usually not a lot of big guests there, but this year it was Dan Parent. Now, as an Archie fan, obviously Dan Parent's a big name in Archie comics. Also, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I get a lot of, in the past, I've gotten a lot of Dan Parent variant covers, because he does a lot of variant covers that are like limited to 250, limited to 300, limited to 100, whatever it is. And he puts out a lot of those, and a lot of them are homages. And I was really excited when I got there to see that they actually had a Dan Parent convention exclusive. Now, they had another convention exclusive, which for a different Archie comic. I don't even know what the comic is, because none of his have the logo of the actual issue in it. So it's just whatever the random Archie book was that was out that month has this cover on, right? So let me show the other one first. I don't know what the artist is. But this is a variant convention exclusive for a new Archie book. I gather the Archie comic is about some of Sabrina's rivals teaming up together, and so they did this. This is an homage to the movie poster for the Craft, which is a movie about witches. I didn't know any of that. There was a thing explaining it, and then I forgot as soon as I got home. I was trying to explain to my wife what it was, couldn't really do it, but when I showed it to her, she immediately recognized it. So this, again, Plastic City Comic Con convention exclusive, limited to 250. The deal was for $20 you got both of the convention exclusives, which I thought was pretty good, because the other one is the Dan Parent, and when you get these online, $20 to $30 is the standard rate plus shipping for them. So I basically got that one as a free throw-in for the $20 that I was paying for this here, which is the Dan Parent cover. It's Betty as Farrah Fawcett, homaging the classic 1970s Farrah Fawcett poster. So I was excited to get this. It's possible that I may end up putting it on eBay. I haven't really decided. I went over to Dan Parent's table. The other thing was, if you got these, the autograph was included, right? So you didn't have to pay him more for the autograph. They would sign it. As you can see, I didn't actually do that. But when I went over there, he actually had several boxes of these exclusive covers. So one of the reasons I kind of stopped getting the Dan Parent ones is because he's doing these variant covers for several different people simultaneously, and as a result, it was like every month there was like 2 new Dan Parent variant covers. And even though a lot of them are really cool homages, including to some like relatively obscure obscure to the rest of the world, but hardcore comic fans would recognize. Like there was one that was an homage to a Matt Baker cover for Seven Seas, but it was Veronica underwater with a knife fighting a shark, that sort of thing. So I really appreciate it, but it just got to be too much to keep up with. There was one that I had seen online though that I really wanted, and money was tight at the time. I didn't get it, and so I was very excited to see that he had 3 or 4 copies available. It was $20. And he signed it, and it's this here. Very excited for this. This is staying in my collection for sure. And it's Betty in this Usagi Yojimbo Albedo #2 homage. You can see, here's where Dan Parent signed it. This is his signature on the printing. I was also happy because last time, several years ago, I had Dan Parent sign a bunch of things for me, and the marker just smeared all over the covers. But what I was really excited was, for whatever reason, this comic actually has like a matte cover and not a glossy cover, and so the ink dried immediately, so there was no worry about that. So I love that, and I was really excited to get it. It's always nice to see Dan Parent, the sort of the most important Archie artist, I think, of the 21st century. Let's put it that way. So very exciting to get all those. Great convention. And again, thanks to everyone who came out. So that's it for this convention report. Let me know what you think down below. If you attended the show, let me know what you think. Tell me what you got. And I'll see you next time.